Welcome to the Workshop Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew, and joining me today is my fabulous co-host, my wife. You can say hello
Hi.
every time. So I'm going to come right at you with...
I have pathological demand avoidance.
It's true. You shouldn't cover up your mouth. It makes it hard for the mic
Sorry.
to pick up. So how does it feel to be on the verge of becoming Laura Ingalls Wilder with your one-room schoolhouse on the prairie?
One room schoolhouse on the prairie. I'm excited, but I'm really nervous.
What are you nervous about?
Teaching grade 1 to 10 in one classroom.
You have 11 kids, right?
Yep.
So you'll have 11 students
Mm-hmm.
in a one-room schoolhouse.
Yep.
Which doubles as a church.
Yep.
It'll be very interesting.
Yes. Yeah, we need to still be respectful. Like the desks are at the front and the pews are behind, but we're not to be like running around and like on the pews and that kind of stuff.
You're not going to play football in the back of the chapel?
No, but we got to try and like that. I think that's going to be one of the hardest things is like I still have to get phys ed hours in, and in the winter that's going to be tricky.
Make them run up and down the hall.
Just roll them down the hall.
The 20-foot hall.
Yeah. So I don't know what we'll do. Then it will be interesting.
It will be.
Yeah. That's a challenge because phys ed is not my specialty.
No, you're more a musician.
A lot more of a musician. Yeah. Or artist or, the artsy things, not the...
Not the sportsy things.
I know. They have hockey sticks. So I was like, why do we have hockey sticks?
So
Like where are we playing hockey? Like street hockey? There's not even like a cement surface to play street hockey on. So we'll have to learn how to play grass hockey.
Field hockey.
No, those are different sticks. That's lacrosse, isn't it? Isn't lacrosse and field hockey the same thing?
No. Field hockey is different than lacrosse.
Really?
Yes. I don't know how to play either one, but I know they're different.
Lacrosse is like that little wooden stick.
No.
That has the tiny little end.
No,
Like the hook
that's
end?
field hockey.
What's lacrosse?
Lacrosse, they run around with like football pads and helmets and throw it to each other with like little nets on sticks. Lacrosse is Canada's national sport. Why it's not hockey, I don't understand. But yeah, lacrosse is Canada's national sport.
I avoided gym as much as possible.
Yeah, me too, but I knew that. Anyway.
Yes, I am excited. I am nervous. There's lots of new things coming, lots of challenges.
Very exciting challenges.
Maybe the most terrifying thing is leaving you home alone with our 3-year-old.
You won't be leaving me home alone with a 3-year-old because I'll have a 3-year-old, so I won't be alone.
Yeah. And she'll tell me everything you do.
I know. I'll have no privacy.
Everything you do that I would not do, she will inform me.
It's true.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Daddy did this.
Yep. She told me today.
Oh.
Yep.
What did she tell you today?
Daddy let me use sharp scissors.
I didn't let her use sharp scissors. I let Annalisa use sharp scissors. Annalisa obviously let her use sharp scissors.
And you didn't know.
No, because I was folding laundry like a good house husband.
Daddy let me use sharp scissors. No scissors.
Did she call them no scissors?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about parenting, though, right? If we were both the same person, then we would probably raise unbalanced kids. But since we both have different expectations and different
very unbalanced children.
Different risk aversions, then our children will have a broader base of experience.
Whatever helps you sleep at night.
No, it's true.
No, it is true. It is true. And it is good that we're not the same person, but it will be very different. And I didn't realize, like, for me, I've never really left her.
No, she was born during COVID. And
Yep.
However, we're going to build a house. Her and we're going to build a house. We're going to build a pink house, according to her.
Oh, yeah. She's going to supervise you. But she's expecting a pink hard hat and overalls, just so you know.
So, really?
Yep.
I'll have to find some.
That's her plan. She's got to get pink hard hat and overalls and work boots. But they all have to be pink. And so are yours.
Mine aren't going to be pink.
Oh, she's pretty sure. Better watch out. She'll find the no-no Sharpies. She'll color them pink.
Well, there we go. Yeah. Maybe that's something I should reach out to. Some sort of sponsor or fundraise for pink pink hard hats and coveralls for me and the helper.
She's very excited about it. I think it'll be good for all of us overall. And I'm looking forward to routine. And for me, there's a lot of like, I grew up, my dad's a teacher. He taught for almost 40 years. Like it's a very comfortable thing for me to be going back to school in September. And we had this discussion the other day. You like when I was like, "Oh, come help me with bulletin boards." You're like, "Why? This is horrible." And I'm like, "I'm so excited, bulletin boards," because I've been doing them since I was 5 years old, right? Like, so it's a comfortable, happy place in that stuff for me.
Your happy place is bulletin boards, and my happy place is seeing windrows of hay fall down behind the tractor.
Yeah, it's those things that like, yeah. So,
Or see the saw cut through the lumber.
Yeah.
It's funny how.
But that's the discussion we had this week was like different people and different perspectives. It's really easy to judge somebody else's work as not being as valid as yours because you don't have experience with it.
Yeah, and you see that a lot, especially in like the social media comment sections where they your troll type people are like, well, anybody can do that. Yeah. If I had those tools, I could do it too. If I had those tools, I could tape a banana to a wall.
Okay, you always go to the banana and wall thing. You need to let that go.
I can't. It's too dumb.
But I think that there's lots of people that you look at things that other people are doing and you think, oh, that looks easy, or I could sit and watch, like that's the thing, right? My job does look fairly ideal coming up. Oh, she's only got 11 kids in her classroom, which is amazing. I've never only had 11 kids in a classroom before. Like, fabulous. I am very excited for that. But they are also grade 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Right. And varied levels and ESL and all kinds of things. So it's not like
ESL being English as a second language.
Yeah.
Oh, just saying that for people in here.
And so there's like lots of that and all kinds of different things and some neurodiversity things that we'll be working with and that kind of stuff. But it's easy to look from the outside and be like, oh, it's so easy, blah, 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 and not realize, I'm not just sitting there photocopying worksheets, right? Like there's a lot that goes into that for me and there's a lot of time. And when I come home, I'm tired.
Yeah.
And it's not a physically demanding job, but it's very mentally taxing. And so I am tired and I am worn out and needing some time. And I think that's the part that I'm most worried about because we're very blessed that our children are being able to come with me to school. But it also means like when I get home and you need to go work on the house right away, and I also need a half-hour break, and I'm going to have a 3-year-old who wants to desperately be with me. It's going to be a lot. And again, so excited that I only have a 5-minute commute, but it means I also don't have that time to like
decompress.
Yeah, by myself in the car because I'll probably be being driven home by our 14-year-old with his learner's license, who's super excited to drive home,
which is also terrifying fun.
Yeah, it's terrifying. You haven't driven with him yet.
No, I was going to the other day, but then you said you were going to anyway. So,
yeah, I'm not ready for this stage of life. I tell you that. I'll take the 3-year-old in the pink boots. You can drive with the 14-year-old. No, it's not that. Honestly, he is doing so well. He really is. And he's improved already. It's great. It's just a different phase of parenting that is challenging. But it's also, I think that you see that with like phases that we go through as well, or phases in your like productivity as like a woodworker or whatever, right? Like you go through phases that are easier and phases that are more challenging. And we're just in a bit of a challenging phase right now with lots of things.
Yeah. Well, I think driving is a good example of that because, I'm a very comfortable driver. I don't know.
I'm a very comfortable passenger.
You are a very comfortable passenger. I don't know how far I've driven, but
a lot.
I would guess. I would think we're closing in on 1 million kilometers.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe not quite, more than 700,000 anyway. But yeah, so I've driven a lot. And so I'm comfortable as a driver. And I forget that when I started as a driver at 3 years old, I didn't know how to do anything and I wasn't comfortable.
Well, I think
I didn't really become a comfortable driver until I was like 8.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I think that that's where like you and I have a very different experience because I couldn't like I grew up in British Columbia. You can hear the coyotes howling. I wonder if they don't pick up. Anyway, I grew up in British Columbia and you couldn't get your learner's license until you were 16 there. And then they have a lot more rules on how many people can be in the car and hours you can drive and blah, blah, blah. And here when I took one to get it and he got his test and there's like hardly any rules at all.
Yeah. There's
It's
just
like,
you have to have an adult with you in the vehicle.
yeah, that's pretty much it. And not between midnight and dawn.
Yeah.
You can't drive. But other than that, like, anyway, it's just totally different. And so I still very clearly remember learning to drive because I didn't drive anything before getting behind the wheel at 16. And so I have clear memories of that learning to drive experience. And I think for me, I think I'm more compassionate with him driving and I am calmer than I thought I would be because I can still remember, oh yeah, I didn't know how to corner. I did corner on two wheels. I did like not know all of these things. Run a stop sign and
yeah, but that's where he's probably had a bit of a split experience between the two of us.
he's much more confident behind the wheel than I was when I started. And so I think I'm less like I was talking to my dad and he's like, I can't believe you let him drive on the highway. I'm like, well, but he's like, how does he stay in the lane? I'm like, well, he drives stuff all the time. He's driven the tractor. He's always driving the lawn tractor and the Kubota. And like, he's a lot more comfortable. His biggest nervous thing, and he's really glad that we like live in the country, is when other cars come the opposite direction, right? There's that like oncoming traffic. But he's otherwise like he's really good. I mean, it's not like he's bouncing across the lane or anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's where like for me, like my first memory driving is one of my first memories. You know, like my dad started a tractor and needed to get it to the other side of the field and he needed to take another tractor too. So he put me in the driver's seat, jumped off the tractor and told me to steer it across the field. I mean, it wasn't really a dangerous thing and there was no risk of me running into anything or losing control. I was going probably 1 mile an hour. But that's where I started to learn how to drive. And then you never touched the steering wheel until you're 16 years old. And then you see the law differences and the traffic fatality differences in Alberta versus BC too at that 18 age range. You know, there's a higher traffic incident problem with 18-year-olds who first left home.
Well, that's the thing, like because I grew up in a small town and the way that the graduated system and stuff worked there, I had only driven along for it wasn't even a full year before I moved out. And like we had one stoplight in town and then I moved to a city to go to university. I'd never driven in traffic. I'd never dealt with multiple lanes going the same direction. It was, yeah. So I think like on the whole, I'm really grateful that he is starting younger than I did and that he is more comfortable with vehicles than I was at that age for sure. Like he is, I mean, sometimes that frightens me because he is more comfortable. But I think it's good.
So to bring this to a more applicable to everybody sort of
random. It's been a week.
Sort of topic. It's easy to judge other people based on your own experience. Like I can drive, or I can make a cabinet, or I can make a door, or I can do whatever that I know how to do, and it's easy for me to criticize other people. But we forget that often other people are at different levels of skill for the same task.
Yeah, and different, just naturally different problem-solving abilities. Not naturally, what I'm meaning to say is like from lived experience, you have different ability to see a problem or to see the steps needed. And there is some natural skill to that as well, but a lot of it comes down to like what you've experienced.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why ADHD is a good thing, because
your experience
drives you to experience lots of different things.
Oh, sorry, I'm yawning.
Yeah, it's been a long week.
Yeah.
I've been putting in long hours on the house and stuff too, because things are finally at a point where lots of stuff needs to happen all at once.
Where you can drill through our water pipes?
You're not supposed to let people know that I make mistakes.
But they're learning opportunities. It's a good opportunity for you to talk to the kids about how, yes, you made a mistake, but you can learn and grow from it and change it and describe what you've done. And
I intentionally drilled through those water lines with the auger because that's where I wanted them to come up, because it actually,
it does work better in the end.
they actually now do come up right underneath the utilities.
Yeah.
It's just a pain in the neck that I have to dig down and splice them and fix them now. But
I think you just wanted to play in a hole.
Yeah.
Did you hear Nora when we came out?
No.
Get out there with the stroller and Daddy's building me a hole to play in.
Well, yeah.
No clue that that's going to be a house because it doesn't look like a house, right? So I was like, no, Daddy's fixing the water lines. That's going to be the house. Oh, that's my new hole.
Okay. Well, that's when I was digging the septic tank. After I filled it in there, the middle child, that's what she was. Can you build us a playing hole?
I'll fill it with sand.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to build a playing hole.
Yeah, thankfully we have enough land here to do that.
Oh, we're gonna have playing holes all over the place.
No, I think that's in what you're saying, like bringing it all around, right? Like allow your experiences to shape who you are, and you don't really need to apologize for that either. But at that same point, give other people grace that they're not doing it your way doesn't mean it's wrong.
Yeah, they're at where they are.
Yep.
And
it might not be where they wanted to be either.
Yep. No, this is exactly where we were planning on being when we got married 18 years ago.
It's not, but that's okay.
Yep.
There are lots of great things and lots of great opportunities, and life is fluid, and that's exciting, not terrifying at all.
Not at all. Anyway.
You said something earlier, though, and I know we're trying to keep this shorter, so we can edit this out if you want to, but you said that effect that you were talking about.
Well, the McGurk effect.
Yes, the McGurk effect.
Yeah, blame the Working Hands podcast for that one.
Okay.
What about it?
Just explain it briefly so people know what you're talking about.
Oh, the McGurk effect is that audio-visual illusion, not really an illusion. Anyway, so language is based on phonemes, right? So phonemes are segments of sounds that create bigger sounds, like da, ba, ka. Anyway, so the McGurk effect is when you have the visual of a ba, 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 like with a ba, ba, black sheep.
Yeah.
But you have the auditory da, da, da with a D overlaid on top of that.
Yeah.
And I forget what you end up hearing when you see that, but you don't actually hear either one of those sounds. You actually hear a third sound, and I forget which one it is. But if you close your eyes when you're listening to it, you'll hear it switch. But anyway, that's the McGurk effect.
Okay. And now my ADD has taken a different train, so I need to remember why I wanted you to talk about that. And it connected somehow to what we were talking about, really trying. The train has left the building.
The train is derailed.
I was just thinking about how it can be easy, just like that effect where you can hear one thing, but it visually looks like something else. I think it's often easy for us to see somebody doing something and think something else, or hear something else from somebody else about what that person is doing, and it changes and affects what we see. And so I think that perception is really important to try and not judge. But on that note, the harshest person that you're going to judge is yourself. And so as somebody, especially who is a maker of things, you're always going to be hardest on yourself. It's easy to say, I wanted this to be a clear da, 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 but it's a blah, 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 and I hate it, and it's horrible, and all these horrible things, and you bring yourself down. And so I think if you could try and be like, oh, but maybe this is a good thing, or it's become a combination of things, or what have I learned from this, instead of, being down on yourself? What have you learned from drilling through the pipes?
I didn't want to drill through the pipes, but it actually probably ends up being better in the long run, or at worst, not worse. Yeah. And that speaks to perception and sensory integration type of things too. Is often Michael Cleary from the one of the guests they had on the Working Hands, he brought up that stupid dress illusion thing.
Oh yeah.
From a couple of years ago, you see the purple dress or the gold dress and the blue dress, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I forget who mentioned on that podcast that somebody said something that it was the color that you see dependent on your upbringing to some extent too.
Oh,
like that affected it as well.
Yep.
And so there's lots of there's lots of instances where your perception may be different from reality, or your reality is different from somebody else's perceived reality.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it doesn't really matter. Like, really doesn't matter if the dress is blue or yellow or chartreuse, whatever color that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but if you have a negative focus and a negative perception of everything, then everything looks terrible. So the mental health tip for today, I guess, then, to wrap everything up, would be try to look at things with a positive lens, and that will make everything better.
Buy the pink boots and the hard hat.
Buy the pink boots and the hard hat.
And pink coveralls.
And pretend that they're blue. Delude yourself into thinking that things aren't what they are.
Well, I don't think that that's healthy. Delusions are not a healthy thing. But I was thinking, I think that words are really hard right now. I'm very tired. But I think don't delude yourself, but build yourself up to a point where you have confidence in what you've done and to what is a mistake. It's easy to see the mistake for what it is, or the thing that needs to be corrected for just the thing that needs to be corrected, and not a part of you that's wrong or bad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And one of the evidence-based practices that we talk about a lot is modeling. And modeling that for your kids, for your coworkers, for other people in the community is what is going to bring about that change.
Yeah, you see those type of comments a lot when you see on social media in particular, when somebody shows their mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, you always get the idiot who says, whoa, you did it wrong. You're a fool. You shouldn't do that. But for every one of those, there's 20 or 30 people who say, oh, thanks for sharing. It's good to know that that I'm.
Yeah, because it gives you that connection to humanity.
Now.
Right? Yeah.
Anyway, change your perspective.
Yep. Not a bad thing you drilled through them.
Yep. It is a bad thing that I drilled through them. I wish I hadn't.
It has definitely increased the time to get things done.
It's slowed down again today. But I mean, we'll still be
ready.
We'll still be on schedule to be 3 months later than we wanted to be. Perfect. Anyway, thanks for listening.
We appreciate it.
We do. And we appreciate the support of the Patreon members. There is a free level of Patreon now that you can sign up for.
Well, I should sign up for your...
You should sign up, because I release Patreon exclusive content there, and you don't get it. You're not a supporter.
I don't even know what Patreon really is. So I'm going to be totally honest. I've never looked at it.
Well, Patreon is a platform that content creators can use to receive financial support from their audience. And so if you head on over to Patreon, link in the profile or description thing, you can sign up for various levels. The free level, I've been working on my writing stuff, and so I've been releasing little articles about tips and things like that. Today I released one about getting sunshine and community building for your mental health.
Oh, I should go and read these. I thought we were going to collaborate on a paper.
We should. So those are available to free members. Anytime that there's a guest on the...
Not me.
Not you. You're not a guest.
I know.
You're a co-host now.
Yeah.
But whenever there's a guest, there's always a pre-show and a post-show that gets recorded as well. And those are available to the paid membership. And then there's also some higher level tiers that have various benefits associated with them. So if you want to go check that out, you can do that. Or if you want to have a question answered, or you have a comment to leave, feel free to send them to questions@workshopptherapypodcast.com. And if you wish to support the podcast in a non-monetary function, reviews, 5-star reviews are always good, and sharing the podcast, tagging me in your social medias. And if there's something that really stood out to you, feel free to share a little clip to your social media and tag me in it, and I will share it as well. That way more people can join the conversation. Anything to add aside from you're smarter than me?
We're not smarter than you. We are equally unintelligent.
Equally unintelligent?
I didn't know if you captured that. No.
You are equally smarter than me.
You're ridiculous. But
so thanks for listening.
Yes, thank you for listening.
So if you found anything from this episode to be helpful and you want to reinforce it for yourself, I'd like to invite you to share it with a friend in the next 24 hours. That'll help reinforce it in your mind, and it'll help those around you, which is always a good thing. So thanks again for listening, and now I'd like to say thank you to all the amazing patrons of the Workshop Therapy podcast. You guys make the show possible. If you're finding the show helpful and you want to support it, there are a few tiers, including a simple $1 a month option to just say thanks. For $5 a month, you can get access to the patrons only feed that has a pre-show and a post-show, in addition to the regular podcast, all in one feed. You all know that the good stuff happens after the official mics are off, right? If you can't support financially, I totally understand. But I'd love it if you left a 5-star review or told a friend about the podcast. If you have any questions or feedback, I'd love to hear that as well. Send it to questions@workshopptherapypodcast.com and I'll get it on the show. I want to say thank you to all the patrons of the Workshop Therapy podcast, but especially to the founding fathers, and they are Mr. Matthew Serio from Argiano Serio, Mr. Brad Harrison of Brad's Customs, Mr. Keith Drennan of Blackthorn Concepts, Mr. Eric Peterson of Overall Maker Works, Mr. Brandon Millichamp of Tectonic Creations, and the one and only the Grant Alexander. So a special thank you to the founding fathers, and thank you to everybody who supports and shares the Workshop Therapy podcast.